That's hilarious. Hey, I'm back. Alright, so to catch the stream up, what happened is I disconnected from my VPN to spin up my website, and that kills it. So what I did is I went and I spun up the website, and with running the finup command. So I ran finup, and it was like, hey, your website is ready to go. And I went there, and I went through the standard Drupal install. That's all you missed. And then we have a sample settings.php down here. And it just runs all based on environment variables. And we do this so that we can have the settings.php tracked in Git, and we can have it be the same on every environment, because we can just change environment variables. And then we can add, like we even have the switch on this environment variable. That we could, if we need special extra code running on prod that's not in others, we can do that. And then we also reserve the right to have a custom settings.php loaded that could be a file mapped in. So that was it. Copied that over. Let's see. Okay. All right. So yeah, we did that, and now what I normally do is now I need to find out what modules our site needs, and there's no way we're going to get all of them on the first pass through, because as you're building the site, you realize like, oh, that's right, we need to do this thing. But what I normally do is I just scroll through what is available. And I turn on the things that need to get turned on, and then I kind of like look through the designs again and be like, oh, that's right, we need YouTube embed, so let's go get the YouTube embedding module. We need this, so let's go get that. And we just try to get as many modules on and turned on as possible right at the start. So I just go through on the Drupal thing and extend, and I scroll through and I find stuff. But for this, I am going to be running the terminal commands to install things, because that is a useful command to know, because that is the way you should be doing things, because if you're a developer, you shouldn't be clicking buttons, you should be typing on a terminal. That's just my hot take on that. And I was explaining what content moderation is. I think we want this. What this allows you to do is you could set up certain content types to require moderation. So like a blog post, we could allow all of the users of the websites that are the normal employees, that they could write as many blogs as they want, but they don't go live on the site until some admin approves them. And that even allows the admin to like send it back like, no, this needs more work on this thing, and they can suggest edits on it. That seems very useful, so we should turn that on, and we're not going to set it up for a while, but that seems like we want that. And so how you install a module is we're using Doxel, so every command's prefixed with fin, so not very important, but we do Drupal. So I had said earlier that running the Drupal command is running a Drupal console command, and so it is a scaffolding tool, but it also does more than that as well. Like installing modules, and then we do module : install, and then you do the machine name, which is right here, content_moderation, and enter, and that's it. And it might be like, are you sure? No, it's not. I think it only says, are you sure, when you want to install, and it's like, hey, I'm going to install it. Great, it's installed. And now we can install as many modules at once as we want. So after that, I'm going to be doing them all at the same time instead of doing one at a time. Cool. So we want layout builder. That is definitely one we want. And we're going to do layout builder. We're going to want media. So media is, and we're going to want media library, which is media_library. Okay. So those two go hand in hand. So media's been around since like Drupal 8.5, I think. And so what media is it gives you a media library of all your images and files and stuff like that. So you could have like a blog content type that has an image field on it. Or you can have a blog content type that has a reference to a media item. And the advantage of doing a media item is that then those can be used in multiple places. Or you could have your media be discoverable, stuff like that. The reusable is a big one. Like you saw on the hero seemed to be used a couple different times. And there's not a great way, if those were like individual page hero images, to share the same image if you don't use media, because you'd on the hero image block, you'd say, hey, upload your image, and you'd upload the exact same image, but it's now a different image, so the user's going to be downloading that image on every single page because your browser doesn't know that, oh, actually that is a different image. But with Media Library, it will just say, hey, choose which image you want in the Media Library, and if you want to add a new image, you can add a new image. So that is definitely the way we want to go. In responsive image, we want responsive images. That should be self-explanatory. We want the syslog. So that like just gives you like in the GUI a spot where you can see error logs. So we at least want that, for starting. Workflows, that is going to be, it kind of goes hand in hand with content moderation. So you can set up a workflow of a blog goes from draft to needs review to no, you screwed up, work on it again, to published. Cool, you want the admin toolbar. We have an admin toolbar right now, but the contrib module admin toolbar is better, so we want that one. And we want admin toolbar extras too. No, not tools. I don't know. Maybe we don't want. Maybe it's just admin toolbar now. Module filter, we'll want that. It's a better module page. We want password reset landing page. So that does, by default, the default Drupal password reset is terrible. It's very confusing, and I understand why non-tech savvy people have issues with it. It gives you a one-time login link. You log in and it takes you to a user edit page, which I'll go ahead and take you to right here. And it's like this, and it doesn't hide it hides current password, and it says, no, type in your new, and it just says like password. And so they're like, oh, you're logged in, and then you get a message, hey, you're logged in, go ahead and change your password. And they get this page, where every other website in the world is like, hey, thanks for clicking your one-time login. We're going to show you a form with just a spot where you put in your new password. So that's what password reset landing page is. This advag stuff, that's all nice, but not for dev. It just, aggregates your CSS, compresses it, makes sure all that stuff. Blazy, maybe we'll use Blazy. Depends on, if we need it, how many images we have, but it also depends on, I know I might just be Chrome, but they have built-in lazy loading image capabilities. If that is more than just Chrome, I would consider looking into that instead of using a JavaScript library for it. Chaos Tools, we're not going to install it, but every module is going to require it, so it's going to get installed, but it's not actually a requirement we have, just every other module is going to require it. Config ignore, so config split and all that stuff. So without going down too much of a rabbit trail, every time I click a button in the GUI, like installing a module or adding a content type, anything like that, that is making configuration changes, but I'm making them in the database. And in Drupal 8, they created config as files. And so now you can click a button in the database and say, hey, give me the config for that. And it'll put it as a file in your Git repo. And then when you push up your code to your production site, you say, hey, import the config based off the code changes. And so you can create something locally in the database and push it up. Not content, but config, like creating a new content type or adding a field to a content type, things like that. Which is awesome. But you also will want like config split and config ignore and things like that, because that's great, but there are certain configs you don't actually want to push up. Like, for example, locally, I don't want caching on, but I definitely want caching on on prod. So I don't want to accidentally turn off caching locally, export my config, push it up, and then import it, and it turns off caching. So that's what those do. And then we have field layout. Yes, we want field layout. What is that? No, that's core experiment. Configure display and form display. I don't know. Experimental things, unless you really need them, stay away from them. Quality theme generator. So now here's one, is that this might actually white screen our website. There was a weird bug it was throwing. This was saying like, hey, part of spinning up a new website every time is like, I haven't done this in a month and now something broke. I had to turn it off on an existing website because it was upset about some like redeclaring some function or something that definitely was only ever declared one time. But whatever. So I just turned it off because we had already spun up the theme and done everything. So I'm like, well, I don't really need this anymore. Devil is just a local development tool that gives you like through the GUI, you can get like var dumps and things like that on content. We don't need it for right now. Field group, I don't know. Inline entity form, I don't know. Field group lets you put fields into like categories. So maybe, I think our site's pretty simple that we don't really need that, but I don't know. Date time range, I don't think so. I don't think we have events. I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe we need to add events, but we don't currently have events. I didn't see them in the design. Telephone, yeah, we have a telephone number, so we should probably add telephone. Image optimize, pipelines, probably spam. I need to, sorry, I just heard like a very strange noise, but my neighbor across the street just got like all of his trees chopped down in his front yard yesterday, so I assume it's them moving trees, but I would like to confirm what that loud explosion sound I just heard was, or it's, people still shooting off fireworks. No, it's definitely the tree people are outside, probably clearing out the rest of his trees. That is an answer, Donnie. There are lots of ways to protect myself within arm's reach of where I am. And that was my question. I'm like, do I need to check things out? So Spam, it's a module I saw, and I was like, wow, that looks really cool. And I've never used it, but it helps, not... it helps, not have your stuff be all spammed. Layout builder restrictions. So layout builder is the thing we're going to use. You'll see it later. But the problem is it like shows you every possible option, and the answer is you actually don't want every possible option. So we are going to allow restrictions on that. So we can say on this field you can only do this stuff. Crop, we definitely are going to have crops, and we're probably going to have a focal point crop. So if you focal point, you upload an image, you can say, hey, this is the person's face, never crop this piece off, but the site's still going to crop it a little bit. We are most likely going to end up running the migrate. Not going to turn that on now. There's 0 point to it, but we do have an existing Drupal site, so we should be able to migrate all the content fairly painlessly. I only say that because I've been working on lots of migrations, and the painless migrations kill you. So, blacklist. That is along the lines of the layout builder restrictions, so we need that. Component libraries. Hey, that's the thing I mentioned forever ago. Components. Config update base. Oh, yeah. Config update. We need that. Config update UI. So many things. And the best is if you have a mistake in here. I'm pretty sure like mostly it all fails. Layout builder restrictions by region. That seems cool. Masquerade. Not important for right now, but that's more of like another debug tool. Useful on complicated sites. Masquerade lets you become another user, so when they're like, I can't do this, you can just become their user. You don't have to ask for their password or reset their password or anything. You just become them and do whatever you want, and then you're like, no, you're lying, I definitely did it as you. Attributes. Menu link attributes. That allows you to add attributes to menu links, like custom classes, stuff like that, through through the GUI for a menu, which could be useful for like in our design. You see that one menu item is orange, so we put a special class on that. Whatever. Path auto, that's an important one. By default, all the menu items are /node/ID. That's dumb. We don't want that. Revision log default, that's a good one. Revision log. And so I have thought about adding to our thing like a bash script that you run that basically runs this command for you with like, hey, this is probably the modules you want. Just not sure if we really want to do that or not. Twig tweak is, so it's all twig. Twig tweak adds like extra cool twig functions that you can use. I'm not going to turn on paragraphs because I'm going to try to see if we can get by not using those for now. I'm going to go ahead and turn on meta tag just because I feel like if I don't turn it on now, it will never get turned on. But I'm not going to configure it or anything for a while. I think you just need like that. Meta tag favicons. I mean, it is in the pre-launch checklist to make sure meta tags turned on because like maybe it's just me, but I never think or care about meta tags. Why would you share something on a social media platform? That's dumb. So we do Open Graph because that's like the Facebook one and the one everyone uses. UI patterns, that's a useful one. So the thing I was talking about where you can use components and they can just kind of see it on the site without doing anything, that is the UI patterns module. And it lets you do even crazier stuff because then you can, if you want, we generally don't do this because we are developers and we can write twig files because they're basically HTML. But you can then through the website create like a mapping of, hey, this field in Drupal is this field in the component. And so normally for client sites, we end up turning that on. So if they wanted to add their own content type and they wanted to be styled the exact same as another content type, they could map it to an existing twig component and it would just work, which is pretty cool. I don't know of any client who's ever taken advantage of that, but it is cool to say that it exists. Layouts, library. Yeah, so library is really the module that... I remember what the error was. I think I fixed it, but it was on UI patterns library in one of my files. Okay. No one is following what I'm saying. So in the quality layout theme generator, it has UI pattern. It has a UI pattern named file because it has the template files that it then copies into your theme and does stuff with them. And the problem is that because it had the UI underscore patterns in the file name and it was not a valid YAML file, it was throwing an error because it's not a YAML file, it's a twig file because Drupal console can convert twig files. Though, I mean, it was a YAML file, but it was a twig file with twig things that once it filled them in, it would be a valid YAML file. And so it was like, I'm trying to read this YAML file and it's throwing parsing errors. And I was like, what is going on? But it was on the website for... See you later, Donnie. I'm surprised you hung out to watch a Drupal site be built at all. Okay, so... yeah, but I mean, it was on the site for months and working just fine, and then it just died. So, whatever. Okay, web form, that's a module that's what we're going to use. If you want a form on your Drupal website that users can submit things to, you want a web form. Attachment, they want people to upload things? Maybe? That just sounds like a way to get bad things sent to you. Client-side validation, that seems like a thing, but it's saying we are missing required things, so we're not going to turn that on. Blah, 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 blah. Web form UI. Yes, we will want web forms to have a UI. Don't care about web form examples. Web form deprecated. Don't care about that. Web form. Man, that's a big module. Okay, I think that is everything that we need to install by default. Cool. And I kind of want to go and... I had posted a module the other day and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Oh, it was a config thing, so it doesn't really matter. Because, I mean, we're setting up config, but it truly means nothing to us until other people are using the website. Like, okay, so these were the ones for Layout Builder. I was like, this might make things better. I'm gonna go ahead and say Drupal layout builder browser Drupal LB Claro. Okay, I'm just checking through some messages that me and Justin have sent. Ooh, layout builder browser. So what's this? Cool. And yeah. Hey, this is... Oh, I need this for a client. We have a client who has Layout Builder, and they're like, is there any way we can make that sidebar bigger? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw a thing. Okay, so how you install a new module. So those we installed modules that already existed in our Git repo. So that's why we're able to just say, hey, fin Drupal module install. Now, you could just say fin Drupal module install this module, and it would do it. And it would say, hey, don't do that. Because you're supposed to use Composer. So you just run, it tells you the Composer command. I mean, the answer is always fin Composer require Drupal / machine name of module. But sometimes it's hard because they have like weird dev releases, and if you don't do it, it doesn't work right or whatever. So if you just click on the name right here, or maybe there's multiple versions and you want a specific version. If you click on right here, it's like, hey, this is how you install it with Composer. And so you just copy that and you say fin. Boom. Composer require that. Done. All right. And then we're going to do this layout builder for Claro. So Claro is a Drupal admin theme. It is not the default Drupal admin theme yet, but hopefully one day we can hope that it is the default admin theme. And so we use it because it is pretty stinking stable. And but so someone made something that's supposed to make it work a little bit better with Layout Builder, because right now it's okay, but it's not great. So they're like, hey, look at this is what it looks like now, and things kind of look a little better. So we're gonna do that. So we're gonna say that one too. Fin Composer require Claro, Layout Builder Claro, and then we're gonna do Layout Builder browser. I didn't really know exactly what the browser thing is, but Justin seemed excited about it. So, and it looks like it does stuff. It says it groups things. It lets you make, I think, the layout builder. Oh, I think it's saying that you can create images for what each individual layout builder type of thing is, and you can categorize it. So when they see in here, I got it now. So when they see in here, like basic, do you want an image? This is kind of what an image looks like. Do you want a quote? This is what a quote looks like. Instead of just seeing all the text. Okay, that is pretty cool. Okay, so now we've installed those. So we've downloaded them. So now we say fin Drupal module install LB Claro, and then layout builder browser. All right, we've installed those, and now all these modules are turned on. And if I refresh this, because we did turn on that one module that makes this page look better, like, oh, look at that, looks different now. And now we are going to go to the appearance, and we're going to switch on to the Claro theme. So we're going to install the theme. We're not going to set it as our default, because our default would mean the front end theme. And then we set our admin theme. So we've installed it, and it's like, oh, look at, I'm installed now. And then you go ahead and you set Claro as the admin theme, and we save that. And now look at that. This is the Claro theme. It looks like it's from this century. You'll see now there are more things. Components. Compatible. Requires Drupal 8.2. So one is components has a beta 2. So now that we have this, it's actually done this. I wonder what the difference is. Components. I wonder if the beta 2 is, Twig updated. Twig updated in Drupal 9. So I bet you... yeah, so a lot of these, this is part of the whole, like, hey, our thing when you don't do it all the time, you notice that things are updated. So here, config filter has a version 2, and it says it's compatible. Config split is compatible, but it's 1.5 RC. I don't care to download it RC. I mean, hey, quality theme generator requires components 1.1. Okay, I mean, I highly doubt the difference between components 1 and 2. I wonder if they have a thing that explains. Yeah, I mean, if you look at this is not compatible with Drupal 9. That one is. So we will have to go and do that. I don't have anything. I'm still looking even though I don't have anything. Be right back. Okay. And like that, I am back. I had just decided that I should write down that I will need to update the quality theme generator to support the new version of components. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. Great. Got that. And it is just good to think and like, hey, we should try to get on anything, because there's like components 1 and 2. The difference is Drupal 9 support, and our plan is to, when we are done, flip the switch and move this to Drupal 9. So if there is a full version number difference, like link it, like what is like this, like, okay, well, we should probably get on version 6 beta 1. We're on 4.3, and these are all like, I need to go back to our main composer project that clones this thing down, and we need to get those upgraded too, so that way we don't have to do this on every site we spin up. It just kind of works from here on out. So great. So going to get that updated. But before we've created any content or anything like that, this is the easiest time to update things. Cool. So here, Twig tweak. Obviously, Twig is a different version of Drupal 9. I hope it's not that big of a deal. It shouldn't be. Web forms. Let's see. Well, we should... Gosh. I wonder what the difference is. I'm going to look. I wonder if the difference is the naming. So Drupal did change their naming convention, so you can use Semfar versioning. Oh, actually, I should go back. No, I'll read. So, boom, right here. Same code base and features with some API improvements. So it seems like we would be able to upgrade that in the future. And let's look at 8.5 is not. Okay, well, we should upgrade that to now. 8.5.9 is not Drupal 9 compatible, so there is no reason for us to start on that when we already know it's not compatible. I just didn't want to really get on an alpha build of web form, but it's web form. I'm sure an alpha build is more stable than my own code's production build, so it's probably good. Okay, so then we're going to do these, and there is more to upgrading things than just running the composer command in Drupal. We also need to run drush updb. So you've seen me run a couple Drupal console commands, and so Drupal console commands is a scaffolding tool. It's for generating modules, it's for generating themes, it's for generating blocks. It's a scaffolding tool. It also can do a lot of other things, like clearing the cache, and you know what? I think it even has a database, run database. I think it's like update, run, update. It's update something. I don't know. But drush is another command line tool for Drupal. It is the one that has existed way longer than Drupal console. Drupal console is a Drupal 8 invention. With going object-oriented and based on Symfony, it's much easier to make some kind of scaffolding tool that does all the stuff for you. But drush also can clear the cache, can install modules, can uninstall modules, can do a lot of the same things. But for running database updates, for some reason, I still just do those in drush. I don't know. It doesn't matter. With Doxel locally, you have both of them available. So, but it's drush updb. So what that does is if in updating any of these code, it required things in the database to be stored differently, that's what database updates are. It is going to run update things. It says, hey, currently using incompatible module array. Perfect. I love the module array. Okay. And so it says link it and web form. So those are two modules we did just update. That they have updates, and it says like, hey, what I do in these updates. I don't know. Doesn't matter for us. We've done absolutely nothing. These updates should not fail. If they do, the people have written their modules poorly. Great. So we ran those. And then I'm going to clear the cache, and I'm going to go reload this page and see what it says now. Okay. So we go here. So components. Oh, yeah, that's right. Couldn't update components. Okay, so we're going to go to config filter. So I'm just scrolling down and looking. This works on either one. I mean, once again, like, I don't know. It's a release candidate. It's probably fine. Let's just go and do it. And it's config. It's worst case scenario. If it breaks all config stuff, we just change it and downgrade it. It's fine. Config split. Let's look. Yeah, so this one requires Drupal 8. I bet you this one says it supports Drupal 8 or 9. So, yep, we're going to have to update that. Ooh, config filter. Drupal. So this is one where we might have to like update a couple things all at the same time because all these modules require each other. Yeah, so config filter. So we're doing config filter. config ignore. So, okay. Drupal. And it's possible that, like, ignore doesn't have... I mean, I doubt that they don't have a 9 version. It seems like a pretty important module. There you go. I mean, actually, they don't. They have this dev version, and then they have this 3.0 version, which is... I'm going to go ahead and switch this... Okay, I'm going to stick on 2. I don't want to go to 3. That seems like a big jump. One moment. Okay. Yeah, so we'll update our config ignore to the dev of 2. Then we'll update config filter to 2. And what was the other one? Config split. So we got config filter done. Config split, yeah. And composer commands, we can also string those together. I'm just not. Okay. I'm curious just to check videos. How big was the other video? A gig? That seems like it's recording in a really crappy quality. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I just hope that you can watch back the video and the text is readable, because I am hoping to use these again. Alright. Hey, so now we need to go run that updb command again, because we updated some modules. No, incompatible array, no pending updates. God, oh, no, we want that back, because my screens are too wide, so going without them is too hard. Alright. So, hey, we got the drop downs, we have comments. If we go to home, look at, you have, this is the stock Drupal, you have a Drupal website. Alright, I guess let's just start building content types. I'm going to go ahead and split this like here, and I'm going to close a bunch of this stuff. I'm going to go create content types. And I'm going to say create the blog content type. Oh, yeah. So, and this is what happens basically every single time I do anything. Okay, so one, I need to clock my time. So Watson stop, Watson start, CRD5. All right. I'm gonna end up doing this. Sites, code koalas, we for blogs, and this is the cool thing about being in charge. I can say and do whatever the crap I want. I personally think the Gutenberg editor is amazing. I know that's a controversial thing in the WordPress world, but I've used it. I use it on my personal joshfahmy.com website. I installed it on my wife's website. For creating blog posts, it is great. If you're using it for things outside of that, I don't endorse that because I've never tried it. So, I don't know. But it works great. And so we're creating the blog content type. So I want that as an option to do that. So I got to blow my nose again. All right, so we got that. So now we're going to go fin Drupal module install Gutenberg. All right. And this stream is sponsored by Bulletproof. Nope. Biohazard coffee. I'll pull that up real quick because it is the reason that I no longer need to sleep. Ever. Biohazard coffee, the world's strongest coffee. 928 milligrams of caffeine. That is the coffee that is in my Code Koalas tumbler right now. Generally what happens is I drink this at like 7 p.m. and then I'm up until like 4 or 5 p.m. the next day. So we'll see. We will see what happens. Hey, Gutenberg is installed. So let's go ahead and say content types. Now what we're going to immediately do is we are going to remove content types that we don't want. Like article. I don't want the article content type. That is a pet peeve of mine when people leave the default content types and they are not used. Why are you doing that? All it does is confuse the clients and they're like, oh, I see that we have this article content type. Can we use that? And you're like, nah, you don't use that. An article and blog, probably the same thing, but you use the blog content type with no description. So we are going to call this blog. The default content for all blogs on the website. It doesn't even have to be a good description. Better than no description. Okay, so always look for title. And so the title field label, you could change this to be blog title. I personally think that is overkill and not needed, but there are certain times that title is not it. Like we have a content type for users. No, not for users, for employees. And employees, title is not their name, but we want the title of the content to be their name. So we would want to change that label field to say name or employee name. And so that is what that is for. I'm going to go ahead and call it blog title just because why not? Preview before submitting. I don't care. Why not? All right. Default options. Published, promoted to front page, create new revisions, sticky on top of list. So blogs promoted to the front page by default. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. Okay, so I was just thinking. Because, I mean, it gets into what's the difference between promoted to the front page and sticky. So, I mean, I know we want latest blogs on the home page. So, if we're just by default going to show latest blogs on the home page, why would we use promoted to the home page? Because they're all going to be on the home page. So, I agree that, like, I don't care. I normally just don't use this, but it's a default thing. We should probably use it more than just being like, I don't know, it's always default, but it shows up on the homepage. Yeah, whatever. So I'm going to say it's default that it is promoted to the homepage. And if some reason someone wants to uncheck promoted to the front page, then we should hide it. And then if you want it to be on the top of the list, we will let Sticky do its thing. Okay. Display settings. Generally, every content type gets this turned off, except for blogs. They are the one place where we actually want to show the author who created this blog and the date it was released. But like normal content types, like a page, why do I care who made this page and when it was submitted? I get that different websites are different, but no, not for us. Okay. Menu settings. Now what we could do, now we wouldn't do this for a blog, but we should just say blogs, they're not available to be put in a menu. You're not going to put a blog post directly in the menu. Technically, they're all children of the blog parent item or our blog, whatever that parent item is, a blog. Technically, they're children of that. But I don't want them in the menu. I might revert this decision. No, that's not how that works. Okay, hold on. A couple of minutes ago. Okay, so what I was thinking that active menu trails might be ruined by that, but no, because you're on the blog page and you're on sub-blog pages, it doesn't matter. If I give you the URL of blog/blog title, you belong under the blog menu item, and that's how the active trail is calculated, so it's fine. So no, these can't be put in there. Gutenberg, yes, we want to enable Gutenberg. Now we can change what blocks are allowed. Generally, developers are terrible people and just allow everything at all times, and that's what I'm tempted to do right now, but I'm gonna do my best to not allow that, because I'm trying to do this the right way. So now this is saying, like, what can people do? I don't think on blogs people should be creating columns and columns. I don't think people should be I think the rest of it's okay, though. Like, I don't really think people are going to be doing a lot of it, but I just don't want people to be making, like, layouts in their blog post. I can't think of when anyone should be doing that. You should just, your blog post should be the layout of all the blog posts. But, I mean, if you want to put buttons and weird stuff in it, I guess. No, we go to embeds, like tweets and YouTube videos and Facebook and Instagram, sure, whatever, SoundCloud, Spotify, whatever. I don't know what Amazon Kindle, like, you'd embed a Kindle book? I really don't know. I mean, it's turned off by default, so obviously, no. Yeah, like, I don't know. Allow Drupal blocks. No, this is a different one. Dang it. Stinking nose. Okay. Now Drupal blocks, they shouldn't be placing breadcrumbs. That's dumb. They shouldn't be placing a search form. I don't think in a blog. So this is where it's like Gutenberg. I think this is why people don't like it, is that it is a way to build landing pages. And I mean, maybe it's great at it. I don't know. But I've only used it for, like, text formatting, and I think it's just, like, the best interface that exists for text formatting, at least compared to other things that exist. Okay, so now when you go to this manage fields, you're like, oh, title doesn't exist. It's because it is a core field on at least every core entity type. I was going to say every entity, but it's possible you can create an entity without a title. I'm going to say you can't, but it's possible. But like taxonomy terms, their term itself is the title. Media, the name is the title. Nodes, which is what content types are, the nodes, the title is the title. So it's a field that's core. You can't add it, so you don't see it here. So sometimes people go and they go and add a title. But we don't want that. And then it says description, body, whatever. I don't think we should change it to description. I think that's a weird name for a blog label, but whatever. But generally, if you are given this by your senior developer, and it said this, and you're like, that's stupid, you could ask, but that probably means that the client said that they want that. So, and it's the label that the admin sees, so it's definitely not a battle worth fighting, because it's not like you're saying, a standard user who comes to your website is not going to understand the label description. It's like, the only people seeing that label of description are the people who you're talking to, so no one cares. Okay, image, we are going to have images. Now, this goes into media. So I think I need to go to structure, media types first, and look at image is already set up, so I don't need to do that. So, and now I'm gonna, it must be some kind of module. I wonder if the paragraphs module adds that. Sometimes there's a reference and there's like a dynamic reference. I think that's paragraphs that adds that, and it's like, don't ever use that for anything. Okay, so field, we're going to use a reference field. So a reference field means the content itself lives somewhere else. So we are referencing a media item, and we're going to call this image. Now, generally, we prefix all machine names with the content type name. So this is a blog image. They can only allow one. For blogs, this is like the hero image we're showing. We don't need two. The hero/teaser image that will be shown for this blog. Once again, creating some kind of help description. This is... I'm going to make it a required field. We can always not make it a required field later. Reference type, default, create reference entities if they don't exist already. This will be an image type. We can sort by name or nothing. Don't care. We can add a default blog image. We're not going to do that. Just because I don't have one. Okay, tags. Okay, so now tags, we get into tags, and we need to create those taxonomy terms first. Or the taxonomy vocabularies. Okay, video URL. So this is for that YouTube embed. So what we're going to do is we're going to say Drupal. Oh, no. That is now a media item. So there is another media item, a remote video. So... you used to use like a Drupal, like a video embed field, and it'd be a field where you put in a YouTube video URL, and it would create this into a thing. But now with media, you can have a remote video as a media item, and then you'll have a media library of all of your remote videos. So that's what we're going to use. So that way you could reference it other way. I mean, to me, this is the lamest use of media. Like, why would you do that? But I think it's just so you can use it on other fields, and because every other thing that's a media item is shoved into the media workflow, so why are videos different? Especially because you could have videos hosted directly on the site, and if you are not going to have videos hosted directly on the site, definitely turn that off. Because you shouldn't if you don't want that, you shouldn't let your users do that and like fill up gigs and gigs of hard drive space on your servers. I'm fairly confident we're not going to. One, and I also am confident that we're not going to abuse it. But I would want to clarify before I go delete a core content type, basically a core media type. Before I do that and delete it, I want to confirm we're not doing it, because I don't want to go add back in my own when there already was a perfectly good working core one. Sorry, it's not the Rona, it is allergies, and you can't tell, but my office is in my garage, so it's not like the most allergy-friendly place in the house. All right, so we need to create these two different taxonomy vocabularies, because we can't reference them until they exist. So we go to Structure Taxonomy. There's the default tags. So it says content tags. I'm just going to use the default tags, because it exists, and it's just... and this is as many as you want. So this is, as you're creating a blog, you have the autocomplete tags thing. So let's go ahead and create that one first. And it's called tags. And so we go down to, this is another reference field, and we're referencing a taxonomy. And we go tags, and this will be blog tags. Done. And this right here says as many as wanted, unlimited. Tags that put your blog post into category. Example, EX. Like that. So give a couple of examples. Okay, this is, I think we should say, you have to at least tag one thing. We definitely want to choose this. Create referenced entities if they don't exist otherwise, which, I mean, depending on the client, sometimes the problem with this is that you have a bad client and they go and they're like, there's 1 million tags, because sometimes we spell Drupal with a capital D, and sometimes we spell it with a lowercase d, and sometimes we misspell it. I'm just going to go ahead and trust that we're not going to do that, with a combination of content moderation is going to be set up, so let's hope. But you could have a predefined, but there's also something to be said about, like, no, we've decided that these are the 20 different categories we can write blogs about, and if you write one outside of that, then there's like a miscellaneous category. I would say, for my personal blog, I'd probably go that route of these are the couple categories I use, and if it's not one of those, it's miscellaneous. Because what's the point of having a million freeform tags that are all have one thing using them? Like, I don't know, what's the point of tagging it? Okay, so we have tags, and then we're going to say content type. Okay, so now this goes into, should this even be a taxonomy? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because who cares? Now, but I'm going to say what the disadvantage of not making a taxonomy is. So what this is if you go back to the design on a blog, I believe this is page 4. No, right here. Okay. No, page 2. Got it. All right. You got this. Blog or video. So currently we know of 2. And I think there's actually a module that fixes what I'm about to say. But you could, instead of doing it this way, you can add a field and you could have it be a list. So you could have a list, so when someone chooses it, they have like an option, like, hey, is this a blog or is this a video? And the problem becomes, what if we wanted to add a third one? That's not too bad of a problem. You can add a new one. What if we wanted to remove one? That is a problem. Once there is content in your database that references something, removing it is hard. Altering the field is hard. And it's not that it's not possible. It's, if you know that this field might change in the future, because right now it says content type. They're saying, hey, this should be a taxonomy. But just because it says this doesn't mean, because it also says video URL. Actually, no, that we are following that one. And we're defaulting it to blog, which I don't know if we can. So, and I'm not going to call it content type. I'm going to do like a blog type. Because content type is the name of nodes. They're called content types. So I'm going to call it blog type, because that's really what we're saying. You're saying what, I get the content, because if it's a video, it's not a blog. I totally get I want to use a generic word. I'm just wanting to avoid words that mean something else in Drupal. Defining what type of blog is this content. That's what I'm going to put the description of it. And so we're going to create a new term. Oh yeah, you can't default at the terms. I already know that is the answer, and I can explain why. So great. So now we've created a taxonomy called blog type. We list the terms. There is a single term of blog, and we know the other one is video. But in the future, there might be 3, there might be 7, who knows. Okay, so now we have this, and we're going to go ahead and say this is another taxonomy term, and we're going to say, hey, this one, this label I'm okay with calling content type, because you're on the blog itself, and you're seeing the label. Or how about this? Type of post. There we go. Blog type. I think that's fine. This can only be one. It is a required field. The vocabulary is blog type. I can set a default value, but it's not going to work. So, gosh, stink. Okay, so it's not going to work as a default value because the taxonomy vocabularies themselves, like if we go to structure taxonomy, blog type and tags, those vocabularies, those are configuration. The individual terms inside of them are content. We can push configuration up to production. We cannot push content up to production. Now, in this instance, where it's a brand new website and we're going to just sync my database up, yes, we can. So we can go ahead and do it. But I just want to make the differentiation that when I say the type of post and I set the default value to blog, if you did this in a way where you were not going to take your database and push it live, which once the site's already live, or if you are one of multiple people working on the project, you can't do that because that config, unless you also went and created that taxonomy term and the IDs matched, but that config that you export, it's going to reference something that doesn't exist and the config's not going to import. That's the issue there. But in this instance, it will work because we're just going to put my database up in prod when we're done. Reference, another media item for the video URL. So we're going to just call it video. And we're going to say blog video. Media, blah, blah, blah. If this post is really just a video, then you use this. Create, and it is only for remote videos. It's definitely not a required field. Okay, so now we look at it. We have title, that's default. We have a body description field, whatever. We have an image field. We have a tags field. We have a type of post field. And we have a video. Okay, so now we can manage the form display. This ticker creates a blog content type with a nice form. Interesting. I think it's just saying, like, hey, make sure the WYSIWYG doesn't suck. So now we want to drag around these fields in a way that doesn't suck. That is logical to a user who is filling this out. Now, I will say, when you use Gutenberg, it does kind of ruin the admin interface. So blog title, then body. I think image should go above body. Tags can be below it. That's fine. Type of post, below video, blah, blah, blah. For the most part, we can keep everything the same and default. Now, tags. We want to choose autocomplete tag style because they're tags, and people want to use it in the tag style. Now, I am interested in Drupal tag autocomplete. There were better autocomplete tags. There were modules, and it wasn't called this. Let's see. So there was like Drupal autocomplete better UX, autocomplete deluxe. So autocomplete deluxe, it gives you, like, you know, normal looking autocompletes. We will go ahead and use the default Drupal one for fun, and this one. So we have two options, I'd say, that could be solutions for us, and because we want to make this autocomplete nice. Type of post is an auto. It's not. This will be a select list because right now there's just two options. There will never be more than like 5 options, so a select list will be fine. Videos, media library, images, media library, text field, body, text area with summary, blah, 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 save. Okay, now let's go and look at the design. And he's named these, so we're good there. But we can name them different things than what he's named them, template. So now let's go to the manage display. So we were just, first we were managing the fields, and that's the fields actually on the content type. Then we were managing the form display. The form display is the admin form. We're managing that display. And now we're managing the normal display, which is the display that you see when you look at this content on the website as a normal user. So we have default and teaser. Those are the two defaults that we have. Default is going to be your full page display. Teaser is for a teaser. Now we have 4 different displays. We have this one, which is, like a card looking thing. And then we have this one, which is similar. It has the exact same fields with maybe even the exact same piece of content, but it is displayed differently. And then we have, when you're on a blog, we have this one, which I mean, it's these designs are more like wireframes. They're rough. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm trying to think of, I think they'll have to just be titles. I don't think that, just looking at the height of this, like if we do an image, a title, a paragraph, and make that a read more link, and then we go and try to throw that in the sidebar, and if we're trying to say like 2 related blogs, it's taller than what's in this design. If that's not a long blog, the sidebar is going to be longer than the blog itself. And maybe we could do some smart stuff and detect that it's short and just show them on the bottom of the blog instead of a sidebar. But it looks like, and based off what the design is, that we're going for just the image and just the image and title for the blogs in the related blog section. So that is 1 there, 2 there, 3 there. 3 different displays that are not the default display. Now, we do have these nicely named for us. And we don't have to stick with the names that he did. I think that I'm going to stick with the names that he did for at least the Twig components. Because the ones in Twig there don't matter. He has these. We generally go with like teaser, detailed teaser, minimal teaser. Unless there are very specific things. It's like, what is this? It's a teaser. Well, this is a more detailed teaser. This is a minimal teaser. It's not great. And so, but is clean stack, is that more great? Do you read that and you're like, oh, well, that's clean stack. So, because the way we do the Twig components, matching what the Twig name and the Drupal name doesn't matter. It's nice if you can, obviously, because it makes your life a little bit easier, but we can name them completely different things and still connect them, and it's not a problem. So we're going to go clean stack Twig. So, okay. I'm going to say that the default looking card thing, this is the default teaser, because this is displayed the most. This is a minority, and the other one in the sidebar is a minority. So I'm going to go ahead and say that is the main teaser. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the default post. This is the default post, and we're going to figure out what fields display. And one is by default like labels are on everything, and that's just a lie. We don't actually want labels. So for the most part, you turn labels off. Okay, we have body, and we want to get these in the general order, even though we're putting this all in Twig and the general order won't matter. I like it in the general order just because it makes logical sense. Like, oh, we have an image, then we have the body. Oh, and the tag is actually next to the image. So we have image, tags, body, type of post does not display at all. And video, if it was a video, I assume it shows where the text does. There's no design, but I assume we need the video because it does do stuff. Tags are a label, and I think they should link to the referenced entity. So what that's saying is if you use a tag, so we have on this design, we have taxonomy term, Drupal, SEO, marketing. I think, based off using the website in my life, if I click marketing, I should go to a page that shows me all the blogs tagged marketing. And that's what this is saying, is that it is linked to the referenced entity. Image should be a rendered entity, and we'll choose default for now. And this is probably wrong, but I always circle back and do image styles later. So image styles is what it's called in Drupal, where you set up the different crop types and all that. So we should measure what this image is, get the dimensions, and come up with a couple different cuts for it for like small, medium, large screens. And that's where we would set this. Instead of rendered as default, we would say we would make a view mode called like full blog image, assuming that this isn't shared across multiple types. If it's shared across multiple types, we'll have to come up with a better naming convention for it. But if it's just blogs, then let's just be straightforward and call it blog image. And then like full blog, and it will have the cuts for small, medium, large screens. But for now, whatever image you throw up there, that's the image we're going to give you. So great, we're going to go ahead and save that. Then we're going to go to teaser. So let's pull up the teasers, which are here. The teasers, see, like, and by default, teaser is like, I'm just going to give you a trim body. Oh, here's a module you probably forgot, smart trim. And it's not even on the thing. So this goes back on the list of, hey, whoa, everything's falling out. I have my notebook that I was writing this in, and all of my papers just fell out of it. Okay, so we need to add smart trim to our template. So add smart trim to quality template. Okay, so like I said, we use our own Code Koala's customized Drupal template because we, get tired of installing the same modules on the same site every single time. So just pre-install them. And smart trim is, so if you need to trim text because you want to be like, oh, only show like a teaser, great, it works. It has a built-in trim, but the issue is, and maybe they'll fix it, and maybe it is fixed. But the default trim has issues with, like, let's say in your body you started with an image and you have it on a character count. Well, the image tag with the source and all that counts against that image count, and it's going to strip it out, but then you'll only get a teaser that's like one sentence long because you said I wanted to limit to 400 characters, but the image was 100 characters long. And you're like, well, why is this one so dumb and small? And sometimes it like has faulty HTML, and I don't know. It's just like, this is just a slightly better trim module. And it can trim on character or word count, or I think even like sentence count, and it'll add like the ellipses and the read more, and it'll do trim stuff. So I got that. It's installed. Great, already done. All right, so we're going to go to manage display. We're going to refresh that. And now, body, smart trimmed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know. Let's say like 240 characters. Strip HTML. If summary is present, honor trim settings. I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so what we are saying is that when you create a piece of content, you can set your own summary for it, which is great. In my experience, people don't do that. But if someone set a summary, and let's say they set a one-sentence summary, we want to show that. But if someone set a 2-paragraph summary, well, we still need this to be trimmed at a certain length, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Hey, it's Sam. Look at that. People are watching this. And like I said, it is going to be boring. Just streaming me working. Okay, so, but we do want to honor our trim settings because I don't know what kind of crazy things people are going to do. Do we want to wrap trim content? Oh, it puts like a div around it so you can do stuff to it if you want. I don't know. A read more link. No, we do not want to do that. Though it looks like we do because we're using this read more. We're going to be linking the entire thing. This entire thing should be clickable. We don't want like a text read more. So we're going to go ahead and update that. We got the body. So we have body, we need this image, and once again, we're going to ignore the image styles, but we are going to, for now, but ultimately we would do that. And see right here, by default, it's saying, I'm going to print a label, which would like just print the name of the image. We want the rendered entity of the image. We're not doing the tag, but we are doing the type of post now. The type of post is hidden. It is a label. And these ones, I'm pretty sure we don't want those linkable. Maybe we do. And if we do, that's very easy to change, but I don't think we do, because I think this entire thing is clickable. So how would I make it so you can click on this and it takes you to like just the ones linked by video or blog? Obviously that is possible, but that's like on mobile, I'm not going to be able to click this tiny little thing. So just whatever. We're not showing the tags. We're not showing the video. So I believe this is everything for this teaser. So let's go ahead and click save on that. Now we need more teasers, but look at, they're not there. Great. Well, if you go back to default and you scroll down here, you can manage your view modes. So we need to add 2 more view modes for this content type. So we're going to say manage our view modes, and then it takes you to this page, and you've lost complete context to where you were again. So we're adding to content, because it's a content type, so we're adding to contents, and you'll see you got full content, which we didn't see because we're just using default, and with teaser. Now we're going to go ahead and do add new ones. So now let's name this one. I'm going to call this featured teaser. If you don't want them named that, you should, whoever makes the ticket should name it better. Great. So, and since we're on this page, we're going to just go ahead and add the next one. I'm going to call that one like small teaser. Gosh, I hate it. And because, so these view modes can be shared across all content types. So, I mean, if you want to name it blog big teaser, blog small teaser, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'm just always a fan of, if you can come up with reusable names, let's come up with reusable names when it makes sense. In reality, I mean, all you're doing is you're saving tables in your database, and Drupal databases don't get so large that it matters. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, our database is 50 gigs big, and the issue is because someone didn't share fields. Like, it doesn't matter. And I'm sure someone who's better on performance is going to comment and be like, no, it does matter because here, and here. But in my experience, you don't need to reuse fields. You don't need to do that. Sites are cached insanely, and then behind load balancers, and then behind like CDNs, and they're fast. Just what makes them slow is images, like not the database queries. That is not the slow part of the website. Everything until it's served to the user is lightning fast. What makes your website slow is that you put giant images and videos and ads all over it. So you don't have to share things. So I'm going to go ahead and call this small teaser. Back to what we were doing. All right, so now we've created that, and I'm back on this page, and I've lost complete context where I was. So there are some things Drupal definitely could improve on that, because it's like, I just want to create this thing, and now I'm over here, and like, I get where people are confused. And now I added those, and I can't choose them still. What the heck? Well, because you go to custom display settings, and you have to turn them on per content type, which is great because you don't want all of these on every single one, and they give you some more default ones that we could use and we haven't. Great. Hey, we've done this. You might want to configure it. Feature teaser. So now let's go ahead, and I'm pretty sure they all just copy teaser, but we need them to be different so we know which template to load. And actually, I think you can. I could have swear there was a way when you created them, you could say, and that could be a display suite thing, which is another module that I'm not a fan of. But it was how we built like all of our Drupal 7 sites. And I could just be not a fan of it because once I moved to Drupal 8, I was like, oh, this is so much better. And one of the things we didn't use is display suite. And we're like, it was that. I think it's, I'm not as dumb as I used to be, and now we build things in a nicer way. I think that had something to do with it. Let's see. But you could just say like, hey, copy all the settings I've set on teaser and do that. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to go split my screen. And then we do it that way. So we pull up teaser here. We have feature teaser here. All right. So it looks like it's basically the same. I mean, because so we show image, we show tags, we show body, we don't show video. Done. Tag should be linkable. And this one, I mean, I would say that even though this one's slightly larger, when we set up image styles, it would use the same image style. And what we'll do is we'll just have this larger image style be pulled down there. And it's marginally larger. I don't think that that's going to be killer. I mean, all the images should be like 100K. I mean, the difference of this being 100K versus 90K is whatever. I'm sure it matters, but not really. All right. Now let's go find that small teaser, which if we look, it is just the image and the title, but maybe those are tags. I don't know. We just know it is not the body. So I'll do tags and do that. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, we can always change everything. Nothing we do has to be permanent and set in stone. Great. So we have set up those displays. Cool. So we have, let's go back to our ticket. We have, I've moved tickets. Blog content type. Okay, we have done that, and we've gone beyond what this ticket said because I'm just kind of going out and doing my own thing here. But this is the level of doneness that ticket should be. I mean, realistically, the ticket. If you were my developer, and I wanted to be me, and I would say, hey, how come the image styles aren't set up? But I don't want to do that crap right now because recently, due to things that have been happening at work and clients we've been working with and stuff, I was, kind of like, maybe we need to completely rethink the responsive images, the way they work. There's a couple different ways to do them, and like I was explaining when I was going over the design for the hero image, so it doesn't super apply to blogs, because I don't think people are going to upload an image for a blog because we're kind of showing it in that rectangle anyways, no matter what size screen you're on. So the issue is more on a hero image where you show on a desktop computer, you show a landscape image, but on a mobile phone, most people use those vertically. So you show not a landscape image, you show like a portrait image or a square image, and the image they uploaded for desktop probably doesn't look right on phone, and we can crop it and we can let them crop it through the interface, but what if they just need to replace the image wholly? So I know how to do that with allowing multiple image fields, but how would I do that with what if there's a way to do it without needing multiple image fields? Because then what if some images need that and some don't? Obviously I can say, hey, if the mobile image field isn't filled out, then just don't print it and just print the desktop image field, but obviously it cropped to the mobile size. So that is a solution, but is that the best solution? I don't know. So I want to look at it before I make a decision here, and I also don't want to slow down this recording and the stream with me just researching things for hours. And it really would probably be me spinning up a new site and trying the two and seeing how they work and seeing which one we like better. Probably reading a blog post or two to see if people are like, oh, you should never use the responsive image module because it's the worst. Just do this instead. I don't know. And then we ran into some issues with the good thing about using media is you get reusable media. The bad thing about using media is that when you use the media library pop-up, it doesn't act like it has contextual awareness of what page you're accessing it on. So you're accessing it on a blog, so it would be great if it could let you crop it for the blog styles and only the blog styles, because you don't care about a crop for a hero style in this specific instance, but it doesn't natively natively it doesn't act like it's contextually aware. Maybe it is, but I don't know how to tap into it without like doing some kind of code to make it happen. But it'd be great if it knew where you were and was like, hey, you just uploaded a hero image, set your 2 crops for the hero image. But it's either I only have crops for the hero image or I have crops for everything. And you just need to know like, oh, well, I uploaded this as a hero image, so I should ignore these 7 other crop types. And like, yeah, that's doable. And it's not even the worst thing, but it's definitely not the best thing that we could do. We can definitely do better than that for our clients and show them just the fields that they care about. And then if they ever go in the media library and choose that image for a blog, then we should show them the blog crop types and they should crop it for a blog. But then that just brought up like a different thing. Like, so what if I don't know how the media library handles this, but it seems like if I upload it in my blog and I choose the crop type differently than when you added it to your blog, I assume me changing the crop changes it for you. And that seems bad. Because it's the same media item and we're just referencing in multiple places. And in a lot of places, that's probably what you'd want. But in a blog, that wouldn't be. But in a blog, it probably never happens. So it's like, I don't know. Obviously, you can tell I'm thinking through this right now. But that's why I don't want to go into the image styles. Woo! Okay, we have created the blog content type. For sake of watchability, of going back through this and doing this later, what I think so going into standard workflow, I jump around way too much and I don't finish my point. So my point was for watchability in standard workflow procedure, I would continue through building out the blog. So the next thing is I want to create the views that actually render it, and then I want to create the templates that print it. Where I'm inclined right now to go say, I'm just going to create the 7 different content types and be done with it. But for someone wanting to watch this in the future, it's easier to see, hey, this is how you create a content type in Drupal. This is how you manage the displays. This is how you create the templates for it. This is how you create the views to display it in teaser forms and do all that. It would be much easier to do this all concise in one instead of being like, great, now we're going to create content types for 4 hours. If you want to see us create views, skip ahead 4 hours. So that's why I'm going to do it this way. But then also, so that's that point. Then also the one I was doing, then also following actual work things that I would be doing is, do I have a GitLab CI? Yeah, I do. I'm going to be creating, I'm going to be creating a commit because I'm done with this ticket. And I'm going to push that up and make a merge request. Okay. So I'm just checking this right now. We don't want to be building on master. We don't want that. So we'll do like 7dd. I don't know. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, 7dd. Okay. So this right here, our standard workflow comes with the GitLab CI. If you don't use GitLab, this is worthless to you, but it does do some stuff that will be, you could easily change this to work on Bitbucket or something like that. I mean, the CIs are close enough to the same. You just change a couple of lines on it, and you can get the same idea. So what we're doing on all of our things is we are linting the project, and then we are building the project with the Docker container. And Donnie, who's watching the stream earlier, we are still using his Docker images. Oh, I also need to fix this. I actually fixed this Docker, stuck on Docker 18. I got that fixed. So update. Okay. Update quality Docker DIND. So what I want to end up doing is I want to gather a list of all the things I need to update and try to get them all at once instead of being like, oh, well, let's update this Docker CI. And look, I'm not even gonna do it in this project because I'm not building it right now. But we would update the theme name, but we haven't came up with a theme name yet. And we would so that's all. When you normally download this, you just need to update the theme name if you are having this build your theme, which you should, because if why would you track compiled CSS and compiled JavaScript if you don't need to? The Docker thing goes in, runs composer install, builds your theme, builds an image. It's simple as that. Pretty straightforward, not doing anything too crazy there. So don't need to do anything there. But I was curious. Oh, and then it does have a Docker file. I was curious if it had anything in it that I needed to specifically change before I make a commit. But no, nothing. So then I will do git checkout -b, and then we always do crd-5. We do the ticket number, and then now this will be the first one I do on this, and it'll be interesting. You can do config export. So, and this is another Drush thing that we do, and the reason. So Drupal console and Drush both have a config import and export, and the reason I prefer Drush for config import really is Drupal console just says, great, I'll import your config. Drush says, hey, here's what's going to change. Are you sure? That one difference is I'm like, I want to be sure before I import it. And you know what? And a lot of times I just run -y and skip that step anyways. But it is nice to be asked, because sometimes you run import and it'll be like, I'm going to delete everything. And you're like, wait a minute. That's not right. But if you do a Drupal console, it's like, hey, I'm importing config and deleting everything. Have a good day. And you're like, oh no, it's already done. And then you have to like revert your database and do that kind of stuff. So whatever. Great. So now we do this. And if you look, it's like every single thing has changed because we have never exported config before. So unfortunately, I should have done this before so you could see the couple things that have changed. But I'll go through that anyways. But a lot has changed that is just like, well, we installed a module. But there are some things that are in here that are the content type we've done. So I'm just going to do git add all config. In normal life, you wouldn't do this. You would make sure you're only adding the config that you touched. In a perfect world, you run config export, and the only things that exports are things you've touched. But sometimes, like, you updated a module, or you accidentally touched something and forgot, and so you export, and I mean, it would still is things you touched, but you don't want that config. Like I said, we use config split to fix some of this, but like locally, I turned off caching because I was doing theme stuff, so I don't want caching on, and it exported that config, and like you can leave that config and you don't have to commit it back to the repo because we don't want that in the repo. So git commit and crd-5 first config export plus blog content type build. Boom. And then we push up that git repo. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a change on how we do stuff because I just assumed that this is super old and does not do this. For merge requests, wow. Fast forward only. So we do rebases. So if so you have to rebase. So you basically generally it's all off master. Right now we're working off a dev branch. Basically, it's the D8 branch, and everything you commit, you do a rebase. So that way, I don't know. It's just our Git flow. It just kind of makes things a little bit easier, and we want to make sure that this is not into master, because that will just blow everything away. D8. Boom. And then you delete and squash your commits. I'm going to go ahead and sign it to myself just for fun. You would generally write a description, take a screenshot. I mean, you could go here because you're like, what would I screenshot? Just screenshot, like, look at, I created those fields. Because sometimes, I mean, especially once you get into like styling things, like I can look at your CSS and be like, yes, that passed a linter, but I don't know what it actually does. Okay, so changes 337. It's way too many to really see, but I'm going to try my best. So generally when I look over at git commit, I look at the composer JSON file, and you just see like, okay, they upgraded some stuff, and there's a new thing in here. We added Gutenberg, we added that, we added those two things, we added LB Claro, Smart trim, web form updated. Don't look at the lock. Who cares? I mean, it's diff collapse. And then you look at this. So config default. That is the default config directory. Because it says it twice. That means it's the default website. And then it is the default config for that website. Because you can have... once we get into config split, there will be different things. Like there'll be a config default prod, config default local, config default staging, config default. So default means it's shared across all environments. But then once we get into config default prod, it will be like, Google Analytics turned on and meta tags. I mean, I guess meta tags are set up everywhere. But Google Analytics turned on, caching turned on, all that. That's config that only lives in the prod environment and nowhere else. Great. So I'm going to scroll through a lot of this crap. It's like some blocks are placed. Don't really care. Block. Scrolling past all the blocks. Okay, so now I'm just trying to fast forward to the config that's actually related to the content type that we created. Because generally when you create this, this config would have already been included and you wouldn't be exporting config for the first time. Okay, right here. Core base field override node blog title. So what that means is there are base fields on content types and you are overriding them. And the overridings that you're doing is you are calling label blog title and you are yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just that. So, okay. Yes, then node page promoted. Like this is the default, whatever. Fallback, don't care, blah, blah, date, blah, blah, blah. So now we're going on for a while. Content, blah, blah, media. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and go like blog. Okay, great. So core entity form display. So this is the form display. Blog default. And it's like, hey, look we added these fields. And this is the machine names for them. And it defines it's hard to read. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I scroll through this and I understand exactly what's happening here. That's a lie. I mean, I understand it saying, hey, there are these fields on the content type. And then on here shows the order that they're in, maybe. There's a body. It shows the weight. It's 2, 7. So the weight here, so what they're in here is most likely alphabetical order. But then the weight shows you what order they're in. So that's hard enough to try to follow to make sure you're doing it right. So whatever, it doesn't matter. It's stuff. They're all there. It's form display. Node page default. So the default says, hey, we're going to show body. We're going to show created. Okay, because then there's a hidden of what we don't show. Then we're going to go search for blog again. So entity view display. Node blog default. So we're showing this. We are hitting blog type. Blog featured. We're showing these. We are hiding these. It's hard to read, but you just look through here. When you make a commit, when you export your config and you're looking for it, you just want to see hey, core. So that just means it's like a core config. It's part of Drupal core. Entity view display. So everything's an entity in Drupal. Content types are an entity, and so what this is the view display of an entity. So the managed display of an entity of what type of entity is a node, because content types are nodes, and what type of node is a blog, because you see we're on a blog, and what display is the small teaser. So if you created a small teaser, there should be a config that says small teaser in it and says blog. And then here's a teaser one, and then there's a default one. Oh, that's just page. So we're past blog at this point. So you just need to know kind of what the file names mean and just confirm that, yeah, this is the config that I wanted because it has to do with the thing I did. And then once this config exists, if I go and make one change, you'll see like the single diff that's just the one line change I made. And like I said, it's overwhelming and there's a million things for config, but you need to understand it a little bit, because that's something I see that newer people struggle with, because how many times do you see config changes in code? Like, besides doing this, like here, not really ever. I mean, I see database migrations in code, so that way, and that's like in layer level projects, if you wanted to change some kind of config thing in code, it would be like a database migration, and it would just be like, hey, go change this value to this value, which I think would be more readable than those YAML files, really. Just because the YAML files have so many, they just have so much boilerplate crap to it that doesn't mean anything to you. So it's just hard to understand. So, I totally get it. But you at least need to know, like, this config that I'm merging in this request is config that I want it to change. And, as long as you stick to that, you're fine. It's normally when you're just like, I don't know, add everything, make a merge request. And it's like, well, you just added... It looks like you deleted half the website in this merge request. I don't know. And it's, and we currently don't have a great way to test this stuff besides I could check out your branch and import it on myself locally, or we could just let it merge and go into the dev environment and test it there. There's not a great automated way to say, hey, load up the current, staging website and import this config into it, and does it still look right? There's ways to do it, but it's kind of just overkill. Just be a responsible developer and don't screw up, which I understand is asking a lot. All right, so I'm going to pause for a second